Welcome into another video. We are keeping the Dynasty content rolling like we promised. Today, we are jumping into our top 10 Dynasty running backs of 2025 and so on, kind of like how we did our quarterbacks. To my left, I got Lucas Hoig. To my right, I got Ryan Cash Sharma. We are ready to get right into it. If you are not following the channel yet, make sure to like and subscribe, because there's going to be a lot more of this Dynasty content coming. Lucas is up in Green Bay right now. In enemy territory. Did you make your way over to training camp today?
No, I have a job, so I unfortunately was working that and was happy to stay away from Lambeau. It's
Wow.
not where I'm going to be spending most of my free time.
Your free time. Well, we need to check in on that hotel Wi-Fi. So let's go ahead and get right into our top 10 list, starting off with Lucas, and then we'll make our way through here. Lucas at 10, 9, and 8 has Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, and the rookie Travion Henderson. I have Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, and Chase Brown. I see the reactions already down below. And Ryan with Bucky Irving, Omarion Hampton, and Jonathan Taylor closing out his 10 through 8. And let's get right into it, boys. I seen some heads shaking as soon as you guys see my list. I came prepared. I do not have a job on Monday, so let's hear it.
A-Chain at 10.
That's crazy, man.
He's a wide receiver. He was a better wide receiver than Jalen Waddle was.
Okay. All right. I have been thinking about this because I knew we were immediately going to hop right into this as soon as you guys see Devon H. I don't think it's that terrible. All right, let me pull it up. I got all the numbers sitting right here. Chase Brown, why I have him at my number 8 is because I have more faith in the Cincinnati Bengals offense moving forward for the future. When I think about dynasty running backs, I'm looking at a 2 to 3 year window. I just went back and I was looking at all the 2022 top 10 dynasty lists moving forward. It was like Javonte Williams, Najee Harris, all of those guys. These lists are cycling. So when I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm looking at a 2 to 3 year window. We were just talking about how we think Mike McDaniel's on his way out. So if you think I'm going to buy into this 180-pound running back when Chase Brown started to find his own, look at the number. I'm going to give you guys the numbers here real quick. Weeks 9 through 16. Devon Achane had 99 carries for 366 yards, 3 touchdowns, 41 receptions, 290 yards with 3 touchdowns. This is when Chase Brown really started to come into his own here. 151 carries, weeks 9 through 16, with 631 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 3 less receptions for 10 more yards and just as many touchdowns. He scored 167 fantasy points. So I know over the course of the season, you had 55 points from Devon Achane, more than Chase Brown gave you. But in terms of moving forward, I think that Chase Brown is going to be the guy for the next 2 years, guaranteed. I don't have any faith that McDaniels is truly going to last after this season. And I'm just not buying into the 180-pound running back. Chase Brown had a hell of a second half of the season. I'm telling you, I think that he is going to be their guy. On Taj Brooks, that does not scare me. You know, I thought this was going to be the year that it's like, okay, if they're going to draft somebody to move on from Chase Brown over the next 2 to 3 seasons, it's going to be this draft class, a loaded draft class. I did not see that coming. And they only took Taj Brooks, and he does not scare me moving forward. I'm higher on Chase Brown than I am on Achane. I'm higher on Bucky Irving than I am on Achane. I also have red zone statistics here. Brown had more touches and or just as many targets in the red zone than Devon Achane did throughout the entire course of the season. And you guys got to remember, Chase Brown wasn't getting looks for the first 7 weeks of the season. They were doing that split backfield until Zach Moss got hurt, and then slowly but surely he became a bigger part of their offense. And I think moving forward for the next 2 to 3 years, a team who can move the ball down the field better than the Miami Dolphins, a better offense overall. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals. Give me Chase Brown moving forward. Because I don't care a fuck about these mid-round running backs.
I didn't hear anything about Chase Brown himself. All I heard was, yeah, dude, his offense is really good. And if we're just ranking these guys off the last few games of last season, let's redo our quarterback list and talk through how Bryce Young's the best quarterback in the league. I think we might need to update some rankings across the board if that's what we're basing it off of.
I don't think. Okay, so what? He's just a little bit faster.
Hey, dude,
I think he's a better runner in between the tackles.
Oh my
4.2 speed,
dude.
I'm not buying it. I don't think that he's a long-term success, a part of their future. I think his value right now is the highest it's going to be. I am not a fan of his moving forward. I think unless you are an absolute contender right now, like get off of him as soon as you possibly can. I would probably say if we go through my entire list, you could probably move off if you're not a contender, 5 through 10. But overall, like, I think this is the highest his value is going to be.
I mean, that's probably true still, but Chase Brown's probably in that same boat. Like, Chase Brown is that mid-round running back who didn't really. All right, well, we'll see about that, but I'll be shocked if Chase Brown takes like a huge step into the top 5. You don't have 8?
I had him at 8, and I think that's kind of where we're going to be floating. Like, I don't think he's going to be.
That's the highest he'll ever be.
See, look, I'm not disagreeing with you there. I think that, we're kind of going to be looking at not necessarily his ceiling, but I think that we're going to be seeing maybe like we're going to reach that 1,200 point or that 1,200 yard threshold this season from him. He's still going to I think he could get up to 60 receptions this season, work his way around that 6 to 7 point range. The only reason I didn't probably have him higher is because he does only have 2 years left on his contract. He is a 5th round running back. And I feel like when I was making my list, it was kind of like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Like, do I want to value strictly off of like 1st and 2nd round picks? Because those are, more draft capital invested into these players. But the further I got into it, it was more like each running back is kind of their own story. It's kind of just, you kind of got to gauge it differently. I hate running backs to begin with. So I don't know why I'm getting so fired up about this list, because I hate them. But that was kind of my thing. So I don't know. Chase Brown.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Chase Brown kind of like reminds me a bit of Kyren Williams in a way, where it's like mid-round investment, underrated player that nobody really gives that appreciation to, but at the same time, like the draft capital, and I mean, you saw the Rams drafted Blake Corum. Obviously, that hasn't turned into anything yet, but I view Chase Brown as a similar guy where it's like they're going to take somebody to replace him eventually. He's, to me, not good enough to earn that second contract, and even if he does get that second contract, it's going to be similar to Kyren, where it's like kind of discounted and maybe something that turns into a timeshare eventually. But like on his own, I don't think Chase Brown is a good enough player to be like some 3-down back. And he kind of has been that because of opportunity. I mean, Zach Moss got hurt. I forgot what happened in his first year, but he did eventually see like big workload. Did Joe Mixon get hurt or something? I forgot what happened. But yeah, that's what happened. See, like he's just kind of been, a beneficiary of like opportunity. He's not actually been that guy that deserved those touches. It's just been Zach Moss got hurt, Joe Mixon got hurt. They even tried to trade for Khalil Herbert mid-year last year. That didn't really turn into anything. But it seems like they're actively trying to replace him. Whereas like Devon Achane just continues to get more volume, more workload. Mike McDaniel's leaning on him even more than he did the year before. And he's going to continue to grow in that offense. And obviously McDaniel could be on the way out, but he's going to give you another year this year of top 5 RB play. I mean, his first 2 years in the league, he's RB5 and RB5 per game. So, I mean, he's been that guy since he's been drafted, and that offense is just so explosive to me. He's got 4.2 speed. Whoever comes in to coach him after Mike McDaniel is going to utilize him in a similar way. I mean, he's just way more talented in my opinion.
Okay, fair. Lucas, let's get your list back up here again. Going with the rookie, Travion Henderson. That is another one of the unique players on this list. You're the only one with Travion in your top 10.
Really?
Let's hear it.
I think I've seen a lot of hype around him. Like he's going high in rookie drafts. He's I don't know. I just think he strikes a good balance. He's that type of guy who's shown that he can be a blocker. He'll be there on 3rd down. He's a great pass catcher. So I think he's in an offense that's going to be kind of ramping up here. I think the one downside is that Drake May is probably going to take some level of rushing volume, so he might not have the most yards necessarily out of the rookie running back class, but I think he's going to get the receptions. He's going to be on the field, and if that offense is somewhat decent, he's going to be in the end zone more often than a lot of like those rookie running backs that still have obviously the upside of being as young as they are.
Okay. I can get behind it.
definitely underestimating Ramondre Stevenson a little bit, I think. Like, I feel like we saw it last year with Trey Benson. We saw it with Blake Corum, who I mentioned before, where it's like they're drafted pretty high, but they're just unable to break through because that starter is just, he's a good, solid player. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Trayvon Henderson, has a little bit of trouble seeing the field. I mean, he will definitely get on the field in third downs and explosive plays because he brings that element that Ramondre doesn't, but I can just still see it being more of a timeshare, which kind of scares me.
I think it's McDaniel's offense that kind of scared me with him because I do love his talent. I do think that he's one of the
James White.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, yeah, I remember that name. But like, if you look at like the 6 years, like I went back and I looked, it was like they had a new leading rusher, and like, I mean, James White was a consistent, pretty solid fantasy back, but it was always felt like more of a timeshare. Sony Michel, Damian Harris, all of those guys seem to like always be in the mix. I think he will probably be their main, pass catching back, but how much are they going to utilize that in Josh McDaniel's system? I don't know. So I do think that maybe you're undervaluing Ramondre a little bit, but I love TreVeyon Henderson's talent. I understand why you could put him on your top 10 list. I think he was probably around my first one off, him or CMC. I was kind of debating them two as my first one off. So I understand it. I get it. I just, I value my 8 through 10 just a little bit higher. And then Ryan, where we go? We got Ryan, Jonathan Taylor, Omarion Hampton. You are the lowest on Omarion Hampton. We'll save that here just for a little bit as we get into our now 7 through 5 aspect of the list. Lucas is 7 through 5. Bucky Irving, Omarion Hampton,
so
Devon. There's Devon A. Chain for you. This is my 7 through 5. Jonathan Taylor, Omarion Hampton, Breece Hall, and Ryan's 7 through 5. Josh Jacobs, Breece Hall, and Devon A. Chain. So we're finally getting to the A. Chain aspect of you guys. And me and Ryan both have Breece Hall in our top 7 to 5. Ryan, what was your reasoning on having Breece Hall in your top 7 to 5?
Man, I think he's a really talented running back. And I think I want to buy into that talent. I know he's not in a great spot. And I think that could change. We've heard some rumblings already about him not thinking he's going to get that extension in New York. But I just believe in his talent so much. And he's still a very, very young player. He's only 24 years old. And it feels like he's been in the league for a while. And, he's kind of a 3-down guy, can really run between the tackles, has that explosive element to his game, and can really, really catch as well. So I think he's kind of the all-around guy, still young, still a top-end talent. And I just think that, I want to buy into his upside, because if he gets on a new team, I think it could be, ceiling's the limit for him, and he can get back to where he once was, which was, a top 3 dynasty running back.
Mm-hmm. I go on.
The scenario scares me so much because we obviously are familiar with what Justin Fields brings to the game. And I think Breece really found himself in that when he's catching the ball, that's when he's really putting up fantasy points. But they've got Braylon Allen, who I'm thinking that they're going to want to give a lot more touches. He honestly, we always talk about Braylon Allen and how young he is and how much mileage he maybe doesn't have on his legs. I feel like they'll be giving him a lot more of the early down opportunities. And then when you get to the third downs where you would think, Aaron Rodgers was probably dumping it off to Breece when they were on the field together. But those non-mobile guys that Breece really excelled off of, that's not going to be the case for him with Justin Fields there. So I agree with Ryan. I mean, if he was in a different offense, I would probably be much higher than I am on him right now. But that's a big if. That's a big if.
It's funny because I have Breece Hall at 5, which is the highest of you three. And my reasoning because of that was because of the offense that he's in. which may sound dumb, but this is me. I'm buying into the talent of Breece Hall moving forward with the New York Jets. When Justin Fields was the quarterback of the Chicago Bears in 2022 and 2023, they had the number 1 rushing attack back-to-back years. Now, I know that is a big factor because of Justin Fields' legs, but their running backs 8. The running backs 8 in that system as well, and they have a much better offensive line than the Chicago Bears did in those years. I'm buying into Breece Hall as the future New York Jets running back. I know there's rumblings of the whole contract, like I'm not the back. I think he's going to be the back in this system. I really like their offensive coordinator, Tanner Eggstrain from Detroit. Once again, last 2 seasons, back-to-back, top 5 rushing attacks in Detroit. I think if you look at their head coach and Aaron Glenn, they're going to install a run the ball, play defense, try and win ball games that way. They're not going to go out there and make Justin Fields do anything that he needs to. I think they're going to start maybe shortening up the game for him. So yeah, I think Breece Hall is still going to get his work in the passing game. I think he's going to be a phenomenal runner with that young offensive line. I think Enstring's got big plans for him. So I'm buying into the idea of him as the future in New York. Now, I don't think Justin Fields is the future in New York, but I think even if it does only go 1 year, I think the two of them in the backfield together is going to be very productive for them, for both of them. And let's say he does earn that, second year in that contract, then I think that Breece Hall for the next 2 seasons has really high fantasy value. And I think he'll be doing good enough in this season to earn that extension with them and be a part of their offense for the future. That's why I'm very high on Breece Hall. It's a crapshoot with these fucking running backs, so I'm taking some risks here. I'm calling my shots. All right.
Yeah, I mean, everything you just said kind of reminded me of Jonathan Taylor in a lot of ways, to be honest. Like how he was paired up with Shane Steichen, who's, the leader of a great rushing attack, pair him with Anthony Richardson, who's a great mobile quarterback. And it's like, it didn't really work out that well for Jonathan Taylor. And I think Breece Hall is actually really similar in a lot of ways too, just like the injuries, the talent. So I'm looking for more like both of those guys to get out of the situations they're in. I want to see Breece Hall on a new team. I want to see Jonathan Taylor on a new team, because I just don't think that where they are right now is conducive for their best fantasy outputs.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but I mean, Jonathan Taylor just had a phenomenal fantasy year.
Not really.
He had like 1,400 over his last 5 games. He averaged 25 fantasy points per game.
This guy again. Those
He had
last
good last 3 weeks when like most people's season's already over.
He had like fucking 1,400 rushing yards in like 14 games that he played. He was averaging like 105 yards per game. I mean, I know that he wasn't used enough in the passing game like he has been in years past, but I mean, it wasn't a horrible fantasy season. Overall, in the season, he averaged like 18 points per game throughout the course of the season. That's not. Listen, what I'm looking for my fucking running backs, if they could give me 13 points a game, I'm happy. Like, I'm not a running back guy. So if I see a guy scored 18 points per game over the course of the season, I think he's a pretty damn good fantasy running back. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not, I mean, we haven't gotten into the cream of the crop of this list yet, but I think, Jonathan Taylor at 7 for me is not bad. I don't mind the systems that he's in. I do agree with you on your points that, like, it has been, like, kind of, a little bit of a letdown. You think Anthony Richardson, Shane Steichen working together all in that offense in the backfield was going to, making him explode, but he also hasn't been able to stay healthy. So I'm kind of hit or miss on that one. Lucas, me and you both have Omarion Hampton as our number 6. Once again, You love these young bucks, baby. You love these young bucks and the quarterbacks. You're buying into the year 2 QBs. You're buying into the rookie running backs. Let's hear on why you believe Omarion Hampton is a top 6 dynasty running back moving forward.
I mean, I think the draft capital is the first thing that stands out. First round drafted running back. It's going to a head coach that historically has always had good rushing offenses. J.K. Dobbins was leading the league in rushing through the first few weeks. I'll take the flip side of your favorite little stat there, Will, the last few weeks. But Dobbins was off to a hot start, and that's a guy who I've never really been high on, but he looked like a damn good bounce back guy last year with Harbaugh and the Chargers. I know they got Najee this year, and we were excited about what that was going to be until they took Hampton, and then Najee started toying around with fireworks, and now the Red Sea is really just parting for Hampton to take that over. So, we talked about it last week too with our quarterbacks. Like, that offense in Los Angeles is just going to put up yards. It's going to put up points. It's not going to be the flashiest, I don't think, but I think that they're going to run the ball for sure. They're going to, kind of kick their offense off the rush. And then Hampton's going to be the main beneficiary there. So I really like the position. I really like the draft capital. I really like the player too. Like, I think he's just a real solid, big running back. Not someone who, like, I have concerns with longevity or being able to handle that workload. So I just really like kind of everything about him. And then he's a rookie too. So you don't have concerns about, the previous workload there. So I think it's just he may not be the most exciting guy. He may not be the Genty, Gibbs, Bijan that we've seen the last few years we've seen, but he's got plus traits, plus tools everywhere across the board. And for running backs, you can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think I wrote in my notes here for him at 6, I said, I think he's just going to be like a consistent 260 point back guy, high attempts, high yards, high touchdowns. His receptions won't be where you want there for like amongst the elites. Like you said, Bijan, Gibbs, I don't think he ever really reaches that stratosphere, but I think this is a guy who's going to rush for like 1,300 yards a season, have like 13 touchdowns a season, maybe like 30 receptions mixed in there, like that consistent 260 point back. They invested in the trenches. Jim Harbaugh loves a run game, and kind of everything that you said with Najee. It's only a 1-year deal. Who in the hell knows what's going on with him right now? I'm buying into that for the future.
Yeah,
Ryan, your turn.
Go
ahead and explain. Go on.
I was the lowest on Hampton because, and it's kind of the same reason I was low on Bucky Irving. I was just not that high on them as prospects. I believe Martin Hampton was probably my RB4, RB5 this year. Bucky Irving was like a 5th-round pick. So, and it's like, I just don't think that Omar and Hampton should be in the same conversation as guys that are solidified studs. And I get that RB position is about like age. It's about, who's got fresh legs and things like that. But I think some guys are kind of disproving that, like Saquon, Derrick Henry, James Conner. I mean, we're kind of seeing the trend of older running backs kind of come back. And, Omar and Hampton, like if you're going to compare him to like a Jonathan Taylor or like a Josh Jacobs, it's like these guys were first-round picks too. These guys were first-round picks. These guys were like all pros, put together top 5 seasons already. Like you hope Omar and Hampton is those guys. And so it's like, I wouldn't see why you would take them over them when those guys are still in their prime. Omar and Hampton's an unknown. I don't really think, like I said, I just wasn't in general that high on him as a prospect. And I think also I'm the lowest on Bucky Irving of the 3 of us. And just to explain that quickly, I mean, I just don't think that, I think I've seen 1-year running back rookies, like 1-year wonders, way too much to believe in that. He was a 5th-round pick. Liam Cohen left for a new system, for a new team. So he's dealing with a new system, new offensive coaching staff. It kind of gives me Dameon Pierce vibes. And I got burned by Dameon Pierce before. And I just don't think he's that talented of a running back, or else he would have gone higher in the draft. I think he had a great rookie year, but I think that could change really quickly. And so I think Bucky Irving would be my ultimate like sell now running back if I had to choose anybody.
Okay. I get what you're saying. You are the lowest. And I kind of was similar to you. I had him at 9. So I kind of understand what you're saying, agreeing what you're saying. They also do have Rashad White there. When I did the whole A-Chain Brown Irving thing, I did the whole A-Chain Brown thing. I included Bucky Irving in those as well. Looking at the second half numbers, that's around the same time that Bucky started getting going. And, nothing really stood out to me as well. You guys it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. I don't know why you guys are giving me shit about this whole talking about second half numbers. All right. These guys are coming into their own here. But yeah, it was kind of the same exact thing with him, and Rashad White's there. Rashad White saw a lot of red zone touches as well, really ate into Bucky Irving's red zone touches. I'm a little bit worried about their offensive coordinator as well. It's a hire from within finally. So I think it's going to be tough for him to say that like he's going to come in and be able to do what Liam Cohen did. They've been bringing in these outside guys every year when they've been filtering through them, and they go on to be head coaches. Now you're bringing up one from within, and I understand it. You probably want to keep things consistent for Baker Mayfield because of the success he's been having, but I don't think he's going to match the level that Liam Cohen did. Maybe he can. You never know. But overall, I think I would probably agree with you. I think Bucky Irving's maybe at the highest his value is going to get. Maybe he can add a couple more 100 yards to his rushing yards, he did see some solid numbers in the reception game, but I just think with Rashad White there being a very, very good receiving back, like those are always going to eat into his reception numbers as long as those two are together, and the red zone touches. I just think overall it's going to be hard for him to explode. I think he is the clear-cut favorite there and like the RB1 in Tampa Bay now, but I don't see him exploding into the next stratosphere of running backs with that system and with those guys around him. That's kind of my thought process on it. Lucas, you were the highest on him. But can we talk about Josh Jacobs real quick? That's the only unique one on that's your only unique one on this list. I'll just go ahead and get it out of the way right now. I don't know if I'm really going to even have a good rebuttal. I've just always fucking hated Josh Jacobs. Since the moment he was drafted, like even his like time in Vegas, I hated him. I never liked him. I never liked him once. And then when he signed to Green Bay, I was like, good, fuck it. I don't even care. I don't even care. So what's your thought process on Josh Jacobs?
That's funny because he was probably one of my favorite college running backs I've ever watched. He was incredible at Alabama. And then he went first round to the Raiders with the pick that we traded them for Khalil Mack. So I always thought that was funny. But anyways, like I don't understand why why the dynasty community in general is so low on Josh Jacobs. Like 3 years ago, he led the league in rushing. He was the RB3 in fantasy. He has one bad year where, as a Josh Jacobs owner, I can tell you that was a very strange year for him. He held out all the way until preseason, came back, like basically didn't have any reps and got injured right away, played through injury that entire year. That Raiders team was a complete disaster. So he goes to free agency. He's kind of undervalued on the market. The Packers are able to swoop in and get him. 4-year deal. He's finally in a great system, finally on a great team, great offensive line. And what does he do? He gives you RB5 production, and he's one of the best running backs in the league again. And last I checked, they got him for 4 years. He's only 27 years old. And he's one of those running backs that, to me, are going to age really well. He's not predicated on speed, athleticism. He reminds me of like a Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, not really a Derrick Henry, but still one of those running backs that can play into their 30s. And, the only thing that kind of worries me is I'm not sure how that contract's structured. They might be able to get off of him pretty soon. But if he stays in Green Bay for the next 3 years, like his contract says he will, like, to me, he's going to be a top 10 RB each of those 3 years. And that's all you can ask for from a running back, in my opinion.
That's so funny. All I heard you say there was that injury history. He's not fast.
He durable.
Do anything special. He's durable.
So he's very durable compared to Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, all these other running backs.
You have Kyle Juszczyk in your top 4 here. I don't care about this.
RB5, RB3 in the last 3 years.
Isn't his like one thing? He's always like off year on year. Isn't that like his whole thing? Like it's always been like he has a great year and then his next year he sucks.
I just told you why he sucked. He held out until the preseason for any.
Okay, so what? I mean, we're in like what year? We're in like year 8 now, or like year
the last 3.
Now.
I don't care about what happened before that.
If anything, we're on track for that.
Of last season.
If we're looking,
sure, you have Le'Veon
the
Bell in
next
top
3. All right, let's take a look. If we're going off year on year though, like this is the bad year. Next year it's a good year, and then
he has no competition.
Out of his next 3, he's having 2 bad years.
Why would he have a bad year?
Marshawn Lloyd.
Marshawn Lloyd's a bomb and a bust. He didn't even play last year.
Yeah, because he was hurt. He's coming in this year, dude. USC.
Okay.
He's a dog.
No. He's got next to no competition. He's on Green Bay, who's going to have another good offensive season. Like, I don't see why he would fall off. Like I said, he's not going to be a running back that's going to age poorly either. So I think he's a surefire top 10 dynasty running back. I'm higher on him than probably everyone. So I'll die on that hill.
I'm dying on Chase Brown, which sounds sad comparing him to Josh Jacobs. Like overall,
yeah,
extended running back in a
multiple-time Pro Bowler versus a 5th-round pick.
All right. Let's move on here. We're getting into the nitty-gritty, very similar list here. We'll start off with Lucas's. Lucas, me and you are even here across the board, 4 through 1. So Lucas with Barkley, JT, Bijan, Will with Barkley, JT, Bijan, and Ryan with Barkley, Gibbs.
Wow.
Bijan.
You know
who he's got it.
Who that makes number 1.
That's so funny, Ryan, because we're talking about Omarion Hampton. We haven't seen it. We just saw one of the craziest.
I said I didn't like him as a prospect. That was my main reason. I don't like Hampton as a prospect.
That's fair. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll dive into mine. I think we all had Saquon in the same spot there. Probably,
yeah.
Just the potential, the fact that he doesn't look like he's slowing down. He is getting better still. He's in a great offense, got an amazing offensive line. Like, I think if he was, a year or 2 younger, this would be like one of the top running back pieces we've ever seen in Dynasty. Only thing that scares you potentially is kind of his age, the amount of seasons he has had in the league. And then I do question too, like how many more years are the Phillies going to be able to pull off a really productive offense with a top elite offensive line? We'll see how that goes for him. But for the next like 2-3 years, like all bets are off here.
Yeah, I was thinking like if he was on any other team, I probably might not even have him in the top 10 just because of his injury history, his age, and we saw on the Giants he had some seasons where he wasn't even in like the top 10, top 15. But with the Eagles, I mean, you can't dream of a better situation for him. And obviously, he's one of the most talented backs in football. That offensive line, the weapons they have, that system. I mean, as long as he's on the Eagles, he's going to be incredibly productive on a per game basis, probably top 3. It's just for him about staying on the field.
No, 100%. That I think that's why we all have him as our number 4. I think the 3 ahead of him, like you have every right to put those 3 ahead of him. But for him, despite his injury history, despite his age, it's like he's going on. Didn't he just break the record for yards before contact?
I think so.
Yards before getting touched. Like that's insane. Like he's so good. He's such a shifty back. His numbers are going to be insane over the next 3 years into what will he be, 30, 31? Like you can't pass up on those numbers in that system. I think like you said, any other system we're probably floating him around the 8-9 range. You might not even have him in your top 10, you said. But I mean, just in that system, how good he is, it's hard to pass up on those numbers. I want to hear your thoughts on why you have. Let's go ahead and get the number 1s out of the way here. Let's just do it so we can nut up or shut up. Me and Lucas had Jahmyr Gibbs ranked as our number 1 running back, and Ryan, you have Ashton Jeanty ranked as your number 1 dynasty running back. Ballsy. Let's talk about Gibbs and Bijan, though. Me and Lucas leaning with Jahmyr Gibbs as our number 1. You have Gibbs as your number 3 behind Bijan. I want to know why you went with Bijan over Gibbs.
Bijan over Gibbs, to me, it's more so just about volume and just the fact that Bijan's more of a consistent between the tackles runner. I think Jahmyr's more of that receiving type, explosive threat. Obviously, David Montgomery's still there for the long term, so he's going to take away a lot of touchdowns, a lot of that between the tackles work. I know that Bijan kind of shares a bit of time with Tyler Algier, which has been annoying, and that's probably the reason why I don't have him as number 1, because he's not being utilized to the fullest potential, in my opinion. But I still just think the floor for Bijan is a lot higher to me than the floor for Gibbs. And also, obviously, I don't think Gibbs is going to do what he has done in years past without Ben Johnson there. I think that Lions offense is going to take a step back. And just in general, I mean, he's not going to have the amount of opportunity that he had this year for touchdowns. Obviously, David Montgomery was hurt for a lot of this year. People tend to forget that. So a lot of the reason why Gibbs was the RB1 this year was because he was getting a lot of the touchdown work that would have otherwise went to Montgomery. So I think Bijan, first off, I think they were in the same draft class. So I had Bijan as just a better player in general. He was most people's 1-1. I think Gibbs has definitely made a case that he's been better in his first 2 seasons. I think it's probably pretty close in terms of total points, but I just think Bijan going forward has just a higher floor and more consistency just because he is that between the tackles guy.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's hard for me to disagree with any of that. I love Bijan. Like I think he's like the perfect running back. If I could just like mold and form a running back to put on my team, it's someone who's going to break tackles, going to hit the hole, still be a productive pass catcher, and be shiftier as all get up, can seriously juke you out of your shot and socks. So I love Bijan as a player. Yeah, he's phenomenal. I think for me, the reason I had Gibbs higher is just because the ceiling is definitely higher. Like I don't see Bijan putting up a 50-point game, but I could see that from Gibbs still, and I think that'll be a reasonable, maybe not reasonable, but that's like within a range of outcomes for Gibbs for the rest of his career. And Bijan hasn't really had that like I'm him moment or I'm him game where he's completely taken over and just completely gone off in a week of fantasy. So I like the ceiling with Gibbs. I think you bring up a good point, Ryan. Like we'll see what the offense looks like when Monty's contract, because I think he's going into a contract year unless he got extended that I'm forgetting about. Like I wonder what that. Right?
Yeah, I think he got like a 2-year deal on top of the one that he already had.
Yeah. So still coming up around like 2 more years of Monty. I wonder what that offense is going to look like as some of these pieces start to fizzle out. But for the time being, what are you going to do for me this next year? These guys are all just fantastic options.
Yeah, 100%. I went with Gibbs as my number one just because like I get what you were saying, Ryan. Like you did kind of nail it on the head with like you don't know what their offense is going to look like. David Montgomery was hurt last year. He was eating up, the touchdowns, but I don't know why you go back to that. Like I'm sure he's going to eat into them a little bit, but I think Gibbs proved like, hey, I can be your primary back year round. I can be your Alvin Kamara. And when I think about my favorite running back over the last 10 years, it's definitely Alvin Kamara. Like I loved watching him play football. I think he's one of the most talented players that I've got to watch play football over the last decade. Just a Swiss Army knife. And I see Gibbs in him even faster. Like I see him as a better overall rusher. Like Kamara, I think overall is a much better route runner, much able to be much more utilized in the passing game than Gibbs is. But still, I mean, like just looking at his numbers he had 44 less rushing yards with 50 less rushes this season. I think those numbers are definitely going to, over the years, those are going to get lower, but only 44 less yards with 50 less rushes than Bijan. They have a phenomenal offensive line. That's going to start to deteriorate. So I get what you're saying but we're talking about a 2 to 3 year window here. Once again, I think his is further than that, but 86 more receiving yards on 9 less receptions this year, 63 less touches overall, more total yards, 5 more total touchdowns. I think he proved this year that he could be that guy over, anybody. Like, yeah, they extended David Montgomery. I think overall they'll keep the 2-headed backfield, but I think as it goes on, he's going to get the more primary touches. I think it's going to start to become not like an every other drive scenario in Detroit. It's going to be like, hey, Gibbs is going to get the next 2 to 3 drives. Monty, okay, you can take over this one.
I don't know. Monty is Dan Campbell's guy. I mean, he embodies Dan Campbell perfectly. They love him there. He's probably like everybody's favorite teammate in Detroit. And I don't know. I think I agree with you in that it should be Gibbs getting almost all the work. But I mean, David Montgomery he's not going to go away. And he's going to be the pest that takes all of his touchdowns and all of the dirty work, and that's just what Dan Campbell wants.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He doesn't like the flash.
Let's talk about it, Ryan. Your number one overall running back, Ashton Jeanty. Never played it down to football. Let's hear it, baby.
He's definitely played it down to football before. Yeah, never played in a football snap. They took him right out of the crowd. Nah. To me, it's volume, it's opportunity, it's the prospect himself. Like, to me, he's in the same stratosphere as a Bijan. He kind of reminds me of like Saquon coming into the league or Ezekiel Elliott coming into the league, where it's like the road is paved for him. Like, he's going to have all the touches there. It's Pete Carroll, who loves running backs, loves running the football. He's going to be a 3-down back. He's just such an explosive running back. He can hit the home run. He can get it between the tackles. He's just never going to come off the football field, simply put. And he's going to get the touchdowns. Las Vegas in general just doesn't have a lot of weapons. I know Brock Bowers is going to be there, but I mean, Jacoby Myers is their one and only receiver that really is productive on a yearly basis. And so to me, Ashton Jeanty is going to step in there and instantly have, one of the highest target shares on that team, plus, the volume he's going to get from running the ball. I mean, yeah, I just think when I'm comparing him to Jahmyr Gibbs and I'm comparing him to Bijan Robinson, I just don't see the flaws that those two guys have. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs has the timeshare with with David Montgomery, along with a new offensive coordinator. And then Bijan Robinson also just hasn't necessarily hit that ceiling because his offense is a little bit, all over the place. They got a lot of weapons with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and then Tyler Algier takes some time away from him as well. Whereas with the Raiders, I just see like an attractive pairing with Pete Carroll. They went out, they drafted him top 5, and yeah, there's nobody there to take touches from him. So he's the youngest of the 3 as well. So everything in terms of what you want in Dynasty is there for Ashton Jeanty.
I understand it. I do. Because I think, like, if I'm looking at the 3 of them, I was trying to compare, like, to the 3 of them, Jeanty, Bijan, and Gibbs, like, coming out of college. I had a tough time deciding between Bijan and Jeanty on who I valued more. I think it was really tight. Definitely Gibbs behind him. But overall, I just think I want to see a year of it. I want to see a year of it before I label him number 1. I think putting him at 3 without a snap in the NFL is already, pretty damn good. Like, that's how much faith I have in him. But I just couldn't do number 1 yet just because I just want to see 1 year of it. I believe everything you're going to say. I believe everything you're saying. Like, I do think that's going to happen, but I don't know. I got to see it first.
Fair.
Lucas is nodding his head in agreement.
Genty's that guy, but let's see it. You're right.
Well, let's see it. That is our top 10 dynasty running backs of 2025. My least favorite position to talk about as well. 2 days from now, we are going to have keep trade cut dynasty running backs. So 1 more day of talking about dynasty running backs, and then we're on to the fun stuff. Wide receivers next week, tight ends the following week. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another video. Thank you to Lucas and Ryan Cash Sharma for joining me as always. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.